Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast featuring Phil Perry. Big one today. Bill O'Brien has been hired, and Devin McCourty is joining us to talk about this hire and what it means for the team going forward. Also, a little bit about Dev's future. What does he plan to do? With no further ado, though, let's bring in the Senator, Phil Perry. Phil!
Hey, what's going on?
All right, Bill has been hired. He's going to fix the Patriots offense. Is it a tear down or is it a fixer-upper? We will really explore that question before we bring in Dev, because he's going to give us all the insight on what it means to the team. But I think that's the first question. Quickly on that. Fixer-upper or tear down?
No, it's a fixer-upper. Fixer-upper because you have a young quarterback who has shown promise that in the right system and with the right situation around him, I think has shown that he has ability. And so now you have brought in the system in some ways that he used as a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think there is enough talent on the roster to be significantly better than they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's even before whatever additions they would be making. Now, we spent a lot of time last week talking about Jacoby Myers and are they even able to keep him, retain him so that you can keep whatever floor you'd like to have as an offense. That's a significant question mark to me. But this is not a tear down. When you are starting with a competent, capable coordinator and a competent, capable, in my opinion, quarterback, fixer-upper, not a tear down.
What are they running? Combo of McDaniels / wide zone as last year was, or do they pivot a little bit to some of the Alabama stuff with more RPO? Quickly on this?
I think you could do a little bit of both. There should be room for you to be able to do a little bit of both because we've seen Bill O'Brien do both, and not just during his time at Alabama, but when Deshaun Watson was playing under Bill O'Brien in Houston, that was a guy where they were comfortable using him in the zone read game. You're probably not going to be doing that for Mac Jones, but RPOs, sure. So I think the biggest thing, Tom, is the language. They'll speak the same language almost off the bat, if not right off the bat. And that should go a long way in terms of having everybody ready to go for 2023. That was a big inhibiting factor going into last season, was all the change to the verbiage and the play calls and the protection schemes. It was a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
Hopefully everybody's feeling more comfortable going into this season.
One huge benefit is now it's January, whatever it is, 23rd, 24th, you lose track. But they have something in place with which to use in their recruitment of players, with which they can do their free agency work, their draft preparation, their self-audit of how we're going to fit this team and offense together. How does Bill feel about the tackle situation? Is Trent Brown fixable? And if Trent Brown is going to stay at left tackle, do the Patriots give him a financial bump to reflect that? All those things are going to factor into this. Last question, then we bring in Dev. Does the discipline and situational efficiency that had been trademarks of the Patriots, which have completely vanished, will they return quickly, or will it take a while to get the quality control back where it was?
I think that's a fair question. To me, it goes almost to the culture discussion that the people will hear us chat about with Devin McCourty. Because to me, culture is in many ways, what do you allow to happen, right? What are you okay with? What is your standard is maybe another way of putting it. And if the standard is it's okay to every once in a while have too many guys on the field. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen, guys. It's okay every once in a while if everybody jumps off sides. It's okay if we don't know the play clock situation and we're taking delay of games. Like that's where it feels like it's gotten. And so I do wonder if Bill O'Brien coming in, being the kind of coach that he is, Tom, and the demeanor that he has as a coach, which is sort of as a hardline guy, at least that's what we've seen in the past. I wonder if some of that goes away, because I wonder if the culture in some way changes for the good, because those things once again become unacceptable. It's felt like under Bill Belichick for years and years and years that those things should be viewed as unacceptable, but you've pointed it out many times over the last few, it hasn't felt that way. So maybe this is a swing back into that Patriots of old sort of approach.
Yeah, they weren't a detailed-oriented team. They were not on their details. That's why we would have Kendrick Bourne routinely lining up in the wrong spot. That's why you would have receivers running into each other, tight ends running into each other, just distress from the quarterback because that's not the way it was supposed to look and the protection was bad. So what's going to end up happening, asses will be chewed. And I don't know if they've been chewed that way since Dante Scarnecchia left. I'm sure Bill does plenty of it, but he's got a lot of, you can't chew on all 53 at the same time. Let's stop with that metaphor. It's tough though when you have that many people. You need lieutenants who are going to chew on people and lieutenants who are respected for what their knowledge is. And the players say, yeah, this guy definitely knows what he's talking about. Not to say that players didn't think Billy Yates knew what he was talking about, but certainly I think there was a trickle-down effect, and there just weren't enough coaches. So as excited as we may be today for the prospect of improved offensive play, I think there's going to be going to have to sand out some of those rough spots over the next few months.
Jeez,
can you hear that?
You got to moisturize, bro. That does sound like sandpaper. That's just Tom rubbing his knuckles together into the microphone for our audio listeners.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Let's bring in Deb. This is going on far enough. Well, there they are. It's Phil Perry. It's Devin McCourty. Deb, since you're the guest, I'm sure you have other pressing things to do. First things first, what should Patriots fans like about the hiring of Bill O'Brien?
Oh, man, Billy O's my guy. It's funny. I just saw Billy O's brother at an event, and I was like, man, your brother's a hot topic right now. He's like, I don't know anything. I got nothing to do with that. So it's fun just to see him back. I think, for me, obviously, young when he was here as an OC. But I think, obviously, the video that will be going viral today is him and Tom and my college roommate Taekwon Underwood on the sideline. But I think the reason I always think that's funny is because that's Billy O, passionate, super competitive, a guy that you can talk trash to in practice, back and forth throughout training camp. And he always welcomed that. And I think that was a lot of fun as a younger player coming into the NFL, not knowing what to expect, and just seeing just the passion and fire come from an offensive coordinator, a guy that's on the sideline. That you don't expect to maybe see that from, especially with the whole Patriots stuff when I got here as a rookie. Just seeing that and seeing him do that day in and day out, and then obviously the production speaks for itself. So a lot of people should be happy and excited, having him back in town.
Debbie, you talk about the passion and the trash talking that you might get, or the Patriots might get, from Bill O'Brien next year and moving forward as offense coordinator. Obviously, the quarterback for the Patriots, Mac Jones, he's a passionate guy. We've seen some emotion from him too. You know him well. You've been in a lot of captains meetings with him this past year. How do you think those two will work together?
I think it would be great. I think a lot of times we assume how relationships will go, but I think relationships are built. And I think obviously they're going to have a connection with all of the Alabama stuff, Billy O just coming from there. And, obviously Mac being 2 years removed. But I think they'll have an opportunity to build a relationship, and that'll form into whatever is best for them and the team. But, I think you watch Billy O, you watch Tom, all those competitors, you might not have seen it much, but G, super competitive, Jacoby Brissett, super competitive. Like, to play quarterback in this league, you have to be, that kind of ultra competitive guy that wants to win every rep, that wants to be meticulous about the details and everything that goes into it. So, I don't think that'll be anything new for either one of those guys working together. I think that's something that, whatever their relationship is going to be, they're going to build it, they're going to form it. And I think a lot of times you see in this league, quarterbacks, offensive coordinators, quarterback coaches, that relationship will be unique to them. Like, no one else will probably understand it, and it'll be different with each quarterback. But I think, they'll build that, and, I think it'll be great for the Patriots.
For Mac, and I know you obviously have been and will continue to be close to Matt Patricia, but for Mac, he must look at this and say, well, this is good. This is what I hoped for. This is what I expected. And now I can build on what I was doing in 2021. How far away is the offense from getting back to where they were? I think there's some quality control issues that they have. They just weren't as precise as you would hope and as disciplined. But once that gets cleared up, it looks like they have plenty of players, Dev.
Yeah, I mean, I always see football. I think, listen, if this offense was coming off the best year ever, we would all be sitting here saying, this is what they're going to do next year. Like what the Patriots did on offense last year doesn't really matter. I think every year is something new. We can look throughout the whole, excuse me, the whole NFL and watch teams like the Buffalo Bills continuously put up points every week. They were playing great against everybody on offense. You turn on the game last week against Cincinnati, they scored 10 points. Like it just doesn't matter. It's all about what do you do each year. So, for the Patriots, it's going to start in the springtime, and Bill is going to go into training camp. They're going to go game by game, and then hopefully you're back in the playoffs. And then you throw out everything you just did, and it's about how can we play our best ball for one game, advance into the next week. So I think the building blocks will be there. I think you're going to have a lot of people ready to get after it and excited, for the season. I think, I spoke about it at the end of last year. The results weren't where they needed to be. When your team falls short in the playoffs, you don't finish with a winning record. There's going to be changes. And I think with changes comes the unknown, and with changes also comes excitement. Every year you see that. We just went through that after the 2020 season when we had an influx of free agents coming. There was a whole new kind of momentum and life brought in, and it was still unknown. Like no one knew how everything was going to work out or what guys were going to do, but it's that change. It's the new people coming in, and I think that's what Billy O is going to bring offensively. Is going to be just a new coach coming in. Is going to be what he does and everything, and everyone will have to buy in and learn and listen. And I think that's going to create a new kind of energy in life. Because that's what you're going to see that for what is it, like 10 or 12 teams that are going to be hiring new offensive and defensive coordinators. Like you're going to see that across the board this year. And for each one of those teams, it's going to be, well, they were this way last year. Like what's going to be different? Are they going to, and no one knows yet. Like it's all going to be a work in progress. And I think all Patriots fans should be excited to see what that looks like. Because like you said, Tom, there's a lot of young, talented guys on that roster. And you were able to see that this year and, in different segments and different times throughout the season. So as a fan, I would be excited watching that.
Devin, Tom mentioned Matt Patricia. You've obviously known Matt for a long time. Have you talked to him since the season has ended? I think there's some uncertainty in terms of what might be next for him. Do you know what might be next for him, or what do you think Matt Patricia will be doing next here in 2023?
I'm not sure, man. I talked to Matty P like right after the season, but it wasn't anything about what the future looked like or what his next moves were. For me, it was just really cool over these last 2 years to be able to kind of reconnect. I always think it's awesome in this league because for me as a player, we all come in kind of young men trying to figure things out, and when you get to play for a coach and be around a coach, and then you spend some time away and, you grow as a player and then they come back. It just kind of adds on to your relationship and makes it, brings a little bit more uniqueness to it. So just the ability not only to be around them, but, our conversations to be able to talk and about kids and growth and all of those things has been really cool for me over these last 2 years because obviously he played a huge part in my development as a football player, when I was younger in my career. So, I have no idea what's next for him. Obviously, a great football mind and has brought, I thought a great attitude and everything to this team. And, I think everything that he's about is, I would say his character and his morals has been cool. Everyone always looks at, what result you offense, you coach defense, you coach this position, that position, whatever the results are, that's what it is. But, there's so many other things that go on and go into going out there on the field and relationships that are built and conversations that are happening that I think are everlasting and help guys out tremendously. And, I think Matty P is one of those good guys to have around for that.
You playing next year?
Playing what? Cards?
Football here for the
Are you talking about in your basketball league?
Would you like to play in my basketball league? Because right now I've really worked on my shot.
Because you tell me how well you do, so it probably wouldn't be fair if I played.
It would be really funny because, yeah, you'd probably be 50 a game. because it's like
Ooh,
arena
that
hoop.
sounds good.
We put up 105 a couple of weeks ago because it's like
You
arena
put up
hoop.
what?
105 points. Doesn't happen all the time. But
Dev, it's
but
not
still.
exactly it's not exactly a regulation court. And I'm not even sure about the hoops. Like, are we even at 10 feet with
the
those things?
hoops are 10 feet. The rims are very loose.
Are you
But
serious? Okay.
Phil showed up once to play Saturday actually on a weekday at noontime, and I'll fill you in on the personnel that was there. But Phil walked out and go, "You're playing with the Island of Misfit toys here." I'm like, come on, Phil, it's a good run. Be that as it may.
No, I'm not sure yet, man. And I know a lot of people saw when I said, man, if Tom comes back, I'll come back. Which was obviously a joke. I mean, that would have no bearing on if I play football or not. That would be pretty sad as a grown man. But I'm gonna take a lot of times people say I'm gonna take some time. I'm gonna take a lot of time and figure out what's next. And obviously, for me, I think when the season ended, I had an opportunity to kind of see what I might want to do next. And I've been just taking advantage of that, going on CBS, going on NFL Network, and just having fun of seeing what that feels like. And I think one of the coolest things about that is just being around just great guys. Like, obviously, guys that are doing very highly in their profession now as broadcasters and TV stuff. But I mean, around legends, around guys like Phil Simms, growing up in the New York area and New Jersey area and seeing what he is. And then like guys like Michael Irvin, who I was a huge Cowboys fan growing up. And I'm sitting there on TV with him, and he's grabbing me and pulling me like he's back, stock blocking for Emmitt Smith. So I've had a lot of fun doing that. And, I think the next phase will be hanging out with my family, vacations, and just seeing, how I feel and then deciding, what will be next.
Devin, you've done a lot of work with us over the years, and I'm not sure you're aware, but NBC Sports Boston is a launching pad for coaching careers. Trot Mayo, Troy Brown. So if, again, we know you're a long way off from making this decision, but if you're not playing, we're going to see you on the sidelines as a coach here soon.
Absolutely not. I have zero interest in coaching in the NFL or college. I do want to coach someday, somewhere where like you're not working crazy hours, or like it would be purely just coaching the game of football, technique, things like that, and trying to teach young boys who will be young men the game of football, and what I consider to be at a high level of what I've learned throughout my career, from obviously playing in the Patriots system with Coach Belichick, and like we just talked about Matty P and Flo and Mayo and Steve and all of these guys, but also from the guys that I've gotten to play with. It won't be in the NFL, and it definitely wouldn't be like fresh after I left the game. I don't want to be the next Gerard Mayo.
He didn't either. He went to quick slants. He was smart, then Optum, then back. And you know why? Because Bill got the hook right in him, reeled him right back in. So you better keep swimming.
He always wanted to coach, though. He just didn't want to admit it. He always wanted to coach. When he got hurt, what he started doing when he got hurt? He started sitting down with Steve Belichick, and they would just be breaking down film. Like, he wouldn't, instead of like hanging out at the facility and just hanging with the guys because you're hurt, he would do a little bit of that, but he would be in there breaking down film and doing stuff. That is huge signs of someday you being a coach.
Deb, this whole franchise over the course of 20 plus years has been built on kind of a lineage and a tradition of doing things in a particular way. If you and Matt Slater are leaving, and we've seen Tom and Dante Hightower and James White and all the other important cogs leave, who's the link to the past that maintains that culture and the leadership?
Yeah, man, I think you start to look at guys that, I wouldn't say is like fully linked to the past, but you look at guys like David Andrews, you look at, depending on what happens with Jonathan Jones, with him coming back, Dave got there in 2015, Jay Jones in 16, guys like Joe Cardona got there in 2015. You look at guys like that, you got offense, defense, and special teams. of guys that can lead the way. Those guys have been leaders in the locker room for the longest. Cardona's a player rep. And I think those guys will be, what I once was, what Matt Slater once was, what Dante Hightower once was. And I think over time, like when you saw Vince leave and, saw other guys leave, they were links to, some of those Super Bowls in the early 2000s. Like I have nothing to do with those Super Bowls. And obviously, the Patriots have had an unfair kind of advantage because they had the one guy in this league who continues to play through everybody else's careers. Tom has been in the league so long, was with the Patriots for 20 seasons. So yeah, he got to see everything. But if you take him out of it, you've seen guys leave that were a part of this and a part of that. And then the next group has to build and start doing something on their own. And I read a book, Culture Code, and it talked about, I think people kind of assume culture goes with a place. And, you say, tell me this place and tell me what you think of right away when it comes to culture. But really, culture is just people. And I think each year you have to establish what your culture is going to be like. And it's up to those guys in the locker room. So I don't know, going forward, does it look exactly like, it looked 4 years ago, 5 years ago? No, probably not. It just, life doesn't work that way. And I know, I think the biggest connection we've had to the earlier Patriot teams in the early 2000s is we won. And I think that's probably it. If you came in our building and you went through, what we did and how we went about it, it was probably different than some of those other teams because that's what happens over time. Things don't just stay the same. So I think that's just something that people will get used to. And I think the next generation of Patriot teams will continue a legacy and of different things. They'll do it in a little different way. And I think that's perfectly fine because I think to really be a part of something, you have to establish what it is you want to do and you have to make it your own. So I'm excited to see, what that looks like going forward.
Phil, should we let the guy off the hook? Put a cork in it?
I think that's fair. Yeah, he's given us a lot of time. This has been good stuff.
Aren't you guys so nice?
It's such a more enjoyable experience when we have someone in here to kind of be the intermediary between me and Tom because we spend a lot of time together, So it's nice to spice it up a little bit every once in a while.
He's right about that.
Guys, you'd be going back and forth just spewing nonsense, basically. So I'm happy I could help the podcast.
Would you like to rejoin Quick Slants if you happen to move on? I'm certain we have it in the budget for 2023.
If I happen to be moving on, I might not be living in Massachusetts. So
whoa,
I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, you have it in the budget to be flying me in and out?
No, we can Zoom. You, me, and Kay.
Oh, we can Zoom. Is Kay back on Quick Slants all the time?
What do you mean? She's been here all year. You haven't watched a freaking episode?
I don't watch anything to do with Patriots. So like when we come on here, unless you tell me that
no wonder you're still talking to us.
Yeah, if you tweet me something, I'll see it. But if you say something on TV, yeah, I didn't see it. People ask me all the time, did you see what so-and-so said? No, I didn't. Sorry.
Well, it's probably just as well. You can start watching again because it's going to be a better year.
Yeah, I'll if I become a fan, then yeah, I'll watch.
There you go.
I'll watch and I'll text you guys all the dumb things you say that doesn't make sense or say something wrong about the game of football.
So bad.
Yeah, I'll be that guy.
Respect your elders. Dev, thank you, buddy. And thanks for everything. We're not going to be going far, so I'm not saying any goodbyes. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys, for having me on here today.
Thank you. Thanks, bud.
Thanks, Dev.